Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Lao Tao. I represent Lao Agronomic team. And this presentation have two parts. One part is agronomy and one part is economy. So I will present the agronomy part, the result of agronomy part, and the result of economy part will presented by Dr. Jonathan. So for the outline, we highlight for timeline and strategy and variety evaluation. Number 3 is improvement fertilizer utilization. Number 4 for the outline is disease management, and number 5 is soil management. For the timeline, I would to add some more information here. This project we work in Lao. We work for 4 districts and 2 provinces. In the first year, 2017-2018, we established 4 fertilizer trials and also 4 variety evaluation and 1 intercropping. And the second year, from the first year, we organize a field day and many we found the low rate of fertilizer and have more benefit to farmer, so have more income. So the second year we continue to split 1 fertilizer trial per province, and we established 4 fertilizer demonstration per district. And the third year, so we expand more demonstration with farmer. So total is 40 demonstration and 10 per each district, and we continue to keep 1 fertilizer trial per province. So for the variety assessment in year 1, we found Rayong 11 have a good yield for 3 locations and also good stock content. But KU50 is the one popular variety in Southeast Asia, but this variety in Lao we have problem with which is bloom disease, and this variety susceptible for this disease, so we get very low yield and low stock content. So on the farm gate price, do not consider stock content, which equal variety not the percent of stock content processing center. So here is Rayong 11 and Rayong 72. So Rayong 72 also have more problem with the disease. We continue to estimate for variety evaluation, and the second year, for the first year, and before many female they still eating cassava. So the second year we estimate for the eating variety, and during the field day we found many farmers interesting many farmers, female and male, they feel KUM 140 is good taste for eating. So, but now many farmers they plant for the industry variety, and they love traditional eating variety from the landscapes. And also they plant many variety, don't know which variety were farmer plant. And we also collect leaf from some variety sent to the headquarters, sent to ACIAR headquarters to do DNA fingerprinting. So in Laos, we have the Lao CASSAVA collection, including eating variety and landscape, have become heavily infected with witches bloom. So many varieties we love. And from the DNA fingerprinting, identify several unique chromosomes in need of conservation, not in the gene bank, in ACIAR, also not in the adoption study in Vietnam. And capacity building of tissue culture is going on in the NAFRI lab in Laos. Also, we recommend to do survey and collect the variety, eating variety in Laos, before the land race and our love. For the outcome of variety work, we're beginning to contribute Rayong 11 for farmer evaluation in 2018 and 2019, especially in the area of witches bloom. From this, we also import Rayong 11 from TTDI to Cambodia for testing against to CND, but highly susceptible to the CND. We record the future contribution. Rayong 11 have susceptible to CND, but resistant to witches bloom. So before the CND come to Laos, we need to have the clean KU50, and because KU50 and resistant to CND. But we don't know which variety is the best for the future. And industry in Laos, they're promoting the variety high starch content and resistant to the disease. For the fertilizer utilization for higher productivity. So from the baseline survey, we found many farmers in the location we will work, they not use organic fertilizer and also inorganic fertilizer, and they don't understand about NPK value. But interesting to visit the CASSAVA trial. Also, they interesting to exhibit CASSAVA trial, a fertilizer trial in the lab. And the first year we distribute fertilizer in the province. We use 2 varieties and 6 treatment. So we use one is the commonly used for the rice production and available in the local market, and also we use single fertilizer, but single fertilizer very difficult to find in the market. And during the trial, from the observation, we found the treatment with fertilizer less disease, and without fertilizer more disease symptoms. So from the result of the first year, and we found with fertilizer but no potassium, and without fertilizer the yield not much different, and also the fertilizer, and usually farmers use for rice, the fertilizer also the yield compared to other, the yield low compared to other. So the high potassium treatment get high yield and so high starch content. So for the starch content, Rayong 11 got high starch content from almost all locations, but KU50 had low starch content because KU50 had many problems with which is boom disease.
When we look at the economic analysis, there's a few things to consider both at the farm and processor level. Of course, the processors are concerned with starch, and as was mentioned previously, in Lao, roots aren't typically bought on starch content. But if you were planting, say, KU50 here and using a low rate, the starch yield you're getting is considerably lower than if you were using the Rayong 11, which is a problem for processors. At the farm level, we're interested not only in the net benefits of using fertilizer, but also the rate of return. So for every dollar that a farmer invests, how many dollars do they get back? And what you can again see is if you were using a variety that was less susceptible to witch's broom, the rate of return is very attractive. Even up to the higher rate, you're getting a marginal rate of return of around 120%. Where if you were using KU50, that was below 100% return on investment, which is often used as a rule of thumb for getting farmers to change practice. The final thing to mention is that manure, which is often recommended as an option to improve soil fertility, really pushes out the cost of the fertilizer purchased with very little benefit. So the net benefits here, where you've already taken out the cost of the manure, means that you're in all cases have a dominated outcome and unlikely to see farmers adopt it.
So here is the second year result of fertilizer trial. The second year we have one per province. So in Bolikamsai province, we can see the yield quite low because we have problem with the rural. And in Sanyabori province, we got quite good yield, and starch content also high in Sayanboy province. And for the location treatment was significant different, but for location as the treatment not significant different.
So once again, we did the economic analysis of these treatments, so you can see that the costs are ordered again, and you get a very different outcome based on the province, again associated with the root rot, which lowered the averages in Bolicum Sai. So in this case, you're getting a good return on investment up until this rate here, or the commercial rate, 131%. But if that rate in Bolicum Sai was actually dominated by that lower NPK rate. So this again highlights the importance of disease in farmers' decisions to use purchased inputs.
So the second year we conduct a fertilizer demonstration with the farmer, and the result of the demonstration, we found with fertilizer we got quite good yield, and without fertilizer and very low yield. And in Bolicum Sai, without fertilizer very low yield, because farmer in this district they plant quite long time, and the soil the soil fertility decrease, so they get very low yield.
The economic analysis for the demonstrations were conducted with farmers in the village. So we looked at the changes in the productivity, the cost of the fertilizer, and then what the marginal net benefits and marginal rate of return was under the current prices that they were experiencing, which is the scenarios here. But we also added in what the outcome would have been if it was the lowest price they had received in the last 5 years. So you can see the results vary quite considerably. In all cases, at the high price, there was a positive net benefit, but in Vientong, that was quite small due to root rot and also some issues with lodging during a storm that impacted the trial. And then if you do go to that lower price for the first 3 districts, you're still getting a very good return on investment, so close to 100% in all cases. But in this case, you are now getting negative returns, so you're not making enough additional income to pay off that fertilizer that you've purchased. And this, of course, is one reason, both the production and price risk, why we see farmers continue not to invest in fertilizer. One thing with the marginal analysis is farmers are kind of interested in the actual enterprise budget and what is the gross margin. And what we find farmers are particularly interested in is what are the returns to labour, and how does that compare, say, to going and working abroad and earning wages and salaries. So again, you can see here, this is just an example in one location that we would conduct with farmers. Firstly, to develop those enterprise budgets. In this location here, we actually did this for cassava and maize so that farmers could compare between crops. And here we're looking at different prices and yield scenarios to go through what the impact would have been. In this case, you can see that in all cases, the returns to labour increased from fertiliser. And in here you can see at a low price, 44,000 kip per day return to labour is starting to get a little bit marginal in terms of comparing to farm opportunities. But if you're making 120,000 kip per day return on labour, then that's seen as quite a good return to labour, and is seeing people remaining in villages rather than seeking out off-farm opportunities.
So here is this slide, the fertilizer trial in the 3rd year. For the 3rd year, we find high fertilizer rate and low fertilizer rate, and also the fertilizer available in the market. The not significant difference for the year between the treatment. So we recognize farmer to use the low NPK because the low NPK cheaper price for the farmer and they can get more benefit. So here is the demonstration of commercial available fertilizer, and 40 replicate large area, and we distribute farmer. So we found no fertilizer and with fertilizer, and the yield of different, and also we using two available fertilizer. We find in Bolecam side 15 of the second fertilizer is the get good yield, but compared to other district and not much different. So maybe some reason to make this higher yield.
So once again, we were calculating the net benefits and the marginal rates of return of using fertilizer, and in doing that under different price scenarios. So in this case, the low price scenario was 300 kip per kilogram, and the high price scenario I think was 550 kip per kilogram. So you can see in when the price is high that there is a very good return on investment. So in nearly all cases, it's over 100%. But once those prices start to fall, in many cases, that return on investment becomes quite minimal. And this is something that farmers have raised in the adoption survey that Champasuk will talk about next. The previous analysis has really focused on averages, and averages aren't usually very useful when it comes to understanding why farmers may not use fertilizer. So in this slide, I've plotted the yields with and without fertilizer. You can see the 45-degree line, which basically indicates whether there is any response. So everything is above the 45-degree line except for this crop failure down here. Anything above the green line means that at a high price, the yield increase is paying off the fertilizer cost. So you can see already there's a few farmers that start to fall under that. So the response is less than the cost of the fertilizer. Anything above the red line, you're paying off your fertilizer at the low price scenario. So now more farmers are falling below the line. However, farmers don't only want to farm to pay off input costs. So in this case, we did this looking at the rate of return. So again, at the high price, you were getting 100% marginal rate of return. And at the red price, you're getting 100% rate of return at a low price of roots. So you can see when prices are low, there's not actually that many farmers that are getting 100% rate of return. Now, the old rule of thumb is that you needed 100% marginal rate of return to get farmers to change to a fairly new technology. If it's something they're already used to, maybe 50% marginal rate of return is enough to get them to change. So you can start to understand why many farmers aren't adopting fertilizer when the average results seem to suggest that they should be.
For the soil management, we conduct one K trial in in Laos. So we found K removed from the root, a lot from the root, and also some from the leaf and from the stem, from the stem. So this trial we conduct the same type, but we have a different type. And the first we have it 8 months, and the second we have it 10 months. So after 10 months, and we found K removed from the leaf very, very low. And also we found K removal for higher than supply. We apply 40, 80, and 120 kg of K2O per hectare, but we found the K removed from the soil more than 100 kg K2O from the.
One of the reasons why we thought this was important is that there's a market niche for organic cassava starch, and a lot of processors are interested in developing that market, and governments are also starting to think about it. But when we look at how organic fertilizer management is being used, whilst it may address some of the nitrogen removal, we don't think that there will be the potassium added to the system. So we wanted to have the evidence to show both industry and government the impacts that pursuing this market option may have.
For the pest and disease management, we find the different variety and have impact for the witch's broom disease. So here KO50, and we found a lot of witch's broom, but Rajong 11 lack witch's broom disease. And also we done some field day during the cassava demonstration going, and we do some field day, invite farmer to the field and to see cassava. So the main objective, we need to show farmer how to identify cassava witch's broom in the field, and also how to identify cassava witch's broom in the cassava stem. And the very important of the root chain infect plant, and also variety that are less susceptible to the witch's broom disease. For the impact, many farmers report getting witch's broom disease and under control, because they know how to control this disease. And also the field day, we made very simple poster, put more picture and explain very few words, so to show farmer because many farmer they cannot read, but they see the picture and they can understand. So we ask farmer who have cassava witch's broom in the field. So many farmer they rent the ham, and they say they have the witch's broom in the field.
This is one reason why cassava witch's broom disease has been included in the new ACIAR funded project to look at how we can identify which varieties we should be promoting for addressing cassava witch's broom disease that aren't also highly susceptible to CMD.
And so during the project running in Lao, we also organize many training in DC and farmer level. So we using poster and simple poster to explain to Darfur staff and to farmer staff, and so bring farmer to the field and discuss together. So show farmer the stem infected to disease, and so to Darfur staff to the private sector staff. They join for the training. So for the conclusion, number one, selecting well-adapted variety can have significant impact on farmer income. Typically, only through the yield and supply, not pay on stock content in almost situation in Laos. And number two, the processor profitability. Most of the wood available as starch content, they impact to efficiency. Variety recommendation cannot be separate from the disease situation, which is creating greater incentive for industry and engage in the seed system. Fertilizer on already provide good economy in return at the pot level, however, cannot be separate from other management like weed management or weeding and pay and disease management. For the sample extension method can regarding to the disease management can have a large impact on the getting of top of the disease before situation become too bad. They not can stand in seeds. Intercropping and many soil management activity face considerable hurdle in terms of the labor and productivity. At the field level, many of the activity indicate an incentive for adoption using an agronomic link. However, more constraint will be discussion in next presentation before likely to see widespread scaling by private sector actors.